one of the things that Caleb doesn't like is conference tournaments as we change to basketball. He is one of the first to say, just throw the conference tournament. And recently, John Adams, our colleague, it said that Tennessee may benefit from an early exit from the conference tournament. So I ask you, Jimmy, should that matter? Do we want to play the clip from Mark Pope and John Calipari? Or are we going to play that?
Yeah. We're going to play it right now. It's funny. I think Kentucky, it was posted by a Kentucky fan site, but they were trying to do it to take a shot at John Calipari on behalf of Mark Pope. But I think many people, myself included, found ourselves agreeing with John Calipari. So I'm going to share this real quick and you guys give me your thoughts after. Just quick reel.
Care about the conference tournament because I could care less. The tournament that matters is the NCAA tournament.
Let's not forget, this is about winning. Like, we're here to win. We do all this work to win. It's time to win. Like, you're either going to win or you're not. And that's not to be paralyzed by fear or crushed by expectations. It's just time to recognize that, what you've worked for the last 6 months and for your whole lifetime is actually right now. It's not the other stuff in the future or the past or wherever. It's right now. And so this SEC tournament matters. It's the best league maybe that's ever been in any, in any year of college basketball.
All right, Jimmy, what do you think? Should Rick Barnes look at the conference tournament as I want to go win this thing. B, I want to shoot a lot of threes and maybe win this thing. Or C, let's just throw the thing and get it over with for more rest for the NCAA tournament.
Well, he's not going to do the third. He's not going to throw the game, at least not obviously. Now, if Boswell plays 38 minutes, then you got to wonder. But I don't see that happening. I think they'll play to win. So I think it depends on who you are. All right. Now, in Tennessee's case, how many times have they been to the Elite Eight in program history on the men's side? Twice. How did they do in the SEC tournament last year? They got blown out by Mississippi State, and they got to rest. I think there was benefit to that. However, you might be a team that's on the bubble, or you might be a team that would rather not play in Dayton on Tuesday and then turn around and play in the NCAA the next time. So there are those teams where it is important. In my opinion, is it important to Auburn, Tennessee, Florida, Alabama? Not really. Heck, if Tennessee's a 1 seed, they may end up heading down to San Francisco. But if they're a 2 seed, they may be able to stay in the East and play in the Eastern time zone. So there might be more of a benefit to being the 2 seed than the 1 seed. But for the better teams that know they're in, that know they're getting a high seed, no benefit in my opinion. But the teams that are on the bubble are fighting for seeding or even fighting to get in the tournament. I mean, I'll give you an example. I think in 2011 maybe. Connecticut's not going to get in the NCAA tournament, and they win the Big East, and then they win the NCAA championship with Kemba Walker. So it depends on who you are, in my opinion.
Let me play this card, and I want both of your all's take. You don't go out there with a mindset of half-Aing it. I'm not going to use the word. But you don't go out with that mindset because it can create bad habits. And Caleb, I know your option B that I gave out, that you should just go out there and shoot threes and you should focus on yourself and you shouldn't really worry about preparing for the opponent. You shouldn't care about what happens. But I think that sets a bad precedent if you don't go out there to win every single game. It was Herm Edwards who said, you play to win the game. Caleb?
This Tennessee basketball team has, I believe, I'm looking at it now. Zakai, Chaz, they have 4 seniors in their starting lineup. And then Felix Opara, sophomore, I believe, but still very experienced. Coming off the junior. Coming off the bench, Jordan Gainey is a senior.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave is out here suggesting that a senior-laden team, if they don't try in one game, can't get their good habits back. That has been playing college basketball for 4 years to this point. I'm sorry, I'm not saying throw the conference tournament. Jimmy, you brought up the Mississippi State game last year. Rick Barnes didn't throw it, but I'm just going to bring up 2 quotes real quick. Remember when Tennessee won the SEC tournament in 2022?
Yes.
They were a 3 seed going into the tournament. and then they were a 3 seed at the end of the tournament. And Rick Barnes came out and said, if they're not going to benefit us for seeding, there's no point in us trying to play this tournament. He's just straight up said it at one point. 2 years later, against Mississippi State, Tennessee shot an abnormally high amount of threes last year and played an abnormally bad form of defense. And I watched that game and I thought, Rick Barnes clearly told his players, jack up threes. If they go in and we advance, great. If they don't, we can focus on the NCAA tournament.
And don't rebound.
Yes, and don't rebound. Exactly.
Don't rebound.
I think that's exactly the strategy he has. Don't throw the tournament, but don't exert any energy that you don't have to exert. Jack up the threes, and if they go in, they go.
Well, here's another reason that I would support, Caleb, what you're saying with this particular Tennessee team. Do you like Tennessee's depth?
No.
I don't either. So all the rest they can get. I mean, in my opinion, they go 6 deep with people you can rely on. Cade Phillips had a really good game against South Carolina, but got benched the game before against Ole Miss and played 6 minutes. Darling Stone Dubar, to me, has been a disappointment. And Boswell at the point guard position gets 2 or 3 minutes a game. This is not a deep team. If I went 10 deep, played 10 or 11 players, I would be more inclined to say, okay, I don't need to rest all my guys. But with the lack of depth that this team has, I think they need all the rest they can get. So I don't know that you'll see maximum effort by Tennessee in their Friday night quarterfinal game.
One of the rubs is John Calipari can say all this because he relies on talent to win basketball games. Rick Barnes, to some extent, relies on defense, right? And I was talking to a shady fellow, let's just call him a bookie, and he said the easiest way to fix the game is not miss shots, is not do things on offense, because that's noticeable and that will draw the ire of the NCAA and the feds and all this stuff.
Don't rebound. Go ahead.
Don't rebound. Yeah, just watch it go. Oops, I missed it. I didn't raise my arms above my head.
Sorry.
He said the easiest way was just to not play defense if you want to point, shave, or throw games. Now that goes, I'm not saying they're throwing games, but that goes against Rick Barnes's natural instincts to not defense.
It does. And if somebody blows by Meshack, aren't you thinking, really? And here's the Kai Ziegler, the 2-time SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Meshack, by the way, is the National Defensive Player of the Year, and Ziegler is the SEC Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that happened.
So, yeah. But if the guys they're guarding score 25 points each, you're going, So, yeah, I would be curious to see how he plays it. I'd also be curious to see how much he goes to his bench. Is Dubar going to get 22 minutes? Is Phillips going to get 18 or 20 minutes? Is he going to use his backup point guard and play him a lot to rest his team? I don't know. But if you gave, and look, we don't know if they become a 2 seed, they lose early, they get rest. We don't know if they're going to get to the Elite Eight again. And if they exert energy and they win it all, you could argue, well, there's some momentum going into the tournament, so as the NCAA tournament. So therefore, that was a positive. But I'll say this, with this particular team, I think if you lose the first game you play and you're a 2 seed, I think there's a greater benefit to this team with its lack of depth. The fact you can probably stay in the Eastern time zone to play your games is a greater benefit than winning 3 games and then having to turn around and go play an NCAA tournament game, who knows where, on perhaps even a Thursday.
Do we real quick, Caleb, do we all agree that winning one game is really all that matters? Because there's no way they can reshuffle the entire field if Tennessee were to win 3 games. I mean, I think maybe I'll disagree, but I think the bracket's 90% set by Sunday morning.
I do agree with that. But here's what they could do in Tennessee's case, for example. Let's say Tennessee is hovering around that 1 or 2 seed, and they're fighting Florida for that spot. So Florida and Tennessee play for the SEC championship. Tennessee wins it, they become the last number 1 seed, and then Florida becomes the first number 2 seed. But if Florida wins it, they flip them. So I think they could probably do that. But other than that, I don't see many changes. Other than that, I don't think the conference tournaments mean a lot on that side. That's one reason Rick Barnes has argued, two reasons he's argued this, that the SEC should play the championship game on Saturday. One, it gives the committee time to adjust the seating if necessary. Secondly, it gives the SEC champion or runner-up another day of rest before playing in the NCAA tournament.
Well, I go further than Dave. I think they have 90% of their bracket set before. I think they already have it set. I think this committee is lazy. I think they're doing the bracket before the conference tournaments start. And I think the only thing they do in the conference tournaments is they see if a team wins it to get an automatic bid, and then they got to reshuffle. But I don't think they like to spend I don't think they like to mess up their weekends, guys. So,
well, those guys on the committee, they don't rebound.
Exactly.
They don't.
Let it go.
They're throwing the bracket.
Yeah.
Jimmy, I was on here with I have to say though, I was always this way about conference tournaments in basketball, but again, I'm this way with the SEC championship in football now. I mean, I know this is crazy, but I think Georgia, looking back, would rather have lost the SEC title, not have the bye, but have Carson Beck playing, than had to exert energy to try to win that game and lost their quarterback for the playoff.
Well, yeah. Okay.
It's kind of hindsight 2020.
I mean, yeah, that is some pretty good second guessing.
I would.
mean,
What? But think about it this way. What's the?
I think Tennessee should have stopped the draw in the 2001 SEC championship game.
Well, yes, they weren't prepared for it, guys. But no, the reason I bring that up though is okay. The whole point of the SEC championship in football is you're sold if you win it, you get a first round bye, right? So you don't have to play a week. Okay, but you still have to kind of play an extra game anyway because that extra game is the SEC title game. So you could just not try to play the SEC title game and call that your bye. At the end of the day, you have to play the same number of games to get to the second round. If you think about it that way, I think look, I'm just going to say it. I think that there are going to be teams in the next couple of years that just don't care about winning the SEC or Big Ten title. I still think Penn State threw the Big Ten title, but
Jimmy, we've kept you too long.
James
But
Franklin did that.
We've kept you too long. But what happens if the SEC tournament devolves into like the NBA All-Star game where they're just throwing oops and doing stupid stuff and it's like 160 to 140? I mean, I say that jokingly, but I'm not completely ruling it out.
I would really be concerned if along with that they have a dunk contest and three-point shooting before the game. If they do that, then we need to talk to your bookie.